Today on Studio One, many states have raised their cigarette tax to bring in extra dollars. We'll tell you why some believe that may be counterproductive. Also, the NCAA recently ruled against several universities that have American Indian nicknames. That decision is generating a lot of debate. And exercise is important to maintain a healthy lifestyle. We'll spend a day in the life of a man who makes sure people have the opportunity to keep their wheels in motion.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hello everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Monty Cashel.
And I'm Shannon Brewer. Well, there's a lot of different ways that we can track history as stories are becoming a part of our lives and becoming a part of organizations. And one of the ways that we can do that is through writing books. And so later on the show, we're going to have a guest on who's going to talk about a book that he wrote to record the history of his school.
Right, the 100-year history of a medical school. There's a lot of facts involved in that. We'll get to that. Also on the show, school kids often have to pack a lot into their busy days. We'll tell you why some say schools should give students more time to eat their lunch.
Also, many people were stranded in their homes after Hurricane Katrina. Search and rescue workers had to brave hazardous water and even armed criminals to find people. We'll speak to one man who made the journey from Minnesota to help.
Before we get to all of that, here's today's news with Mariah Torning.
Thank you, Monty and Shannon. President Bush defended his long-standing views on the war on terrorism Thursday. He made the comments during a speech at the National Endowment for Democracy event in Washington. Bush says that he does not want to pull troops out of Iraq because the terrorist movement is an attempt to intimidate the rest of the world. He also says terrorism is based on cowardice, while the fight against it is based on courage.
It is courage that keeps an untiring vigil against the enemies of a rising democracy, and it is courage in the cause of freedom that once again will destroy the enemies of freedom.
British Prime Minister Tony Blair and Iraqi President Jalal Talabani met Thursday to discuss the war on terrorism. During a press conference with Talabani, Blair accused Iran again of supplying explosives to Iraqi insurgents. Iran has denied the charge. Blair told Talabani that British troops would stay in Iraq as long as they are needed. A decrease in jobs available for commercial pilots has some students choosing areas of aviation closer to the ground. Both Delta and Northwest Airlines recently filed for bankruptcy. United Airlines has been operating under bankruptcy protection since December 2002. This has caused a significant decrease in the need for commercial pilots. Air traffic control, aviation administration, and aviation management have offered students alternatives to commercial flying.
The need for pilots isn't that great. I just don't see the trend switching anytime soon. So I figured flying would be more fun as a pastime for me than trying to try to find a job.
Some other graduates are choosing to fly for companies such as UPS and FedEx instead. With Hurricane Katrina, a recent memory, many agencies are wondering how to protect their valuable memories. The hurricane destroyed the computer systems of many companies, causing them to lose important information. This has sparked a sharp increase in business for online file backup services. These companies provide businesses and individuals with the option to store valuable information in a distant location. Providers say this is a phenomenon that typically follows major disasters. Shortened lunch periods are a growing trend in our nation's school system. This has parents and nutritionists concerned and is leaving many students feeling rushed.
The School Nutrition Association has found that in the last 2 years, the average lunch period in schools across the nation has decreased from a half hour to just under 24 minutes. The association recommends 26 minutes for lunch with an additional 4 minutes to get to the cafeteria. At this Minnesota high school, some students say they could use more time.
At the hot lunch line, if there's something good, that takes 10 times longer because there's only one person serving instead of two. And so it takes about 10-15 minutes, and then you have like 5 minutes to eat.
School officials here have recorded the times the last student through the lunch line has to eat, and the least amount of time they found was 10 minutes. They also determined that the average student waits in line 5 to 10 minutes on a normal day and up to 15 minutes on their popular hot lunch days.
And it rests with me on the menu. If I have too many things to serve on the menu, too much busy work, and I've done that, then that's going to slow the line down.
Many schools have compromised their lunch periods because of the demand to succeed on state tests. School officials here say they have tried different strategies in serving lunch and say a great deal of thought has gone into the process.
Years ago we said, let's have the kids serve themselves. And yes, we thought that sped it up. But the first thing that someone said this year is, you know, I think if you serve the students, it would go faster.
The school continues to brainstorm for ideas to be more efficient and give the students adequate time to eat their meals. With photographer Eric Fleischacker, this is Ann Clark reporting for Studio One News.
According to the American Medical Association, it takes the brain 20 minutes from the time you start eating to get a signal from the stomach that it's full. And that's the news for now. Monty and Shannon?
Thanks a lot, Mariah. Well, we certainly have seen a switch in the weather patterns around here in our area.
Yes, we have. It seems a little unusual for this time of year. Absolutely. Well, I think we should go over to Matt Bensen and find out what we can expect to see in the weather.
Thanks, Monty and Shannon. We've definitely seen a shift in our weather. Woke up this morning and saw a coating of snow on the ground, but I don't expect it to stick around for too long. It's too early in the fall. We should warm back up. Let's take a look at our averages across much of the region. Across much of North Dakota, you can expect your average high to be around 60 degrees this time of year. As we head out west, Denver, Colorado, you can expect your average high this time of year 70 degrees. In Minneapolis, your high around 61. Well, we have Hurricane Stan in the news, and as of October 6th, Hurricane Stan was actually over here and it was dying out, but it formed off the east coast of the Yucatan, and it made landfall through the Yucatan of Mexico. And it was only a tropical storm, but it brought a lot of rainfall to much of this region, and it kind of got out into the southern Gulf here where it went over some warmer waters, strengthened into a hurricane, and hit Veracruz, Mexico with a lot of rainfall, but only as a Category 1 storm. And a lot of areas down to the south actually did receive a lot of rainfall as well. And because of all this rain, we saw severe flooding and as well as some mudslides. And actually in Guatemala, they had to declare a state of emergency because of all the rainfall and the mudslides throughout the mountains down there. And there was also large-scale evacuations through much of Central America as well as southern Mexico. And with 4 days of heavy rain, it's really caused a lot of troubles for them down in Mexico. But across much of our area, it should be warm up to the northern parts of the U.S. here with very warm temperatures across the next couple days. But a little pocket of cold air across the Four Corners region as well as southeastern parts of the United States. And some wet areas across much of the central parts of the country where they've seen already a lot of rainfall for this time of year. And wet is also expected off to the east coast, but dry across the southern Mississippi Valley as well as the western parts of the United States. Here's a look at your weather IQ question. What was radar first used for? You have a few answers there, and actually coming up later in the show we'll have a story about radar as well as some first snowfall footage from across much of North Dakota.
Thanks, Matt. There's a lot going on in the weather.
Yeah, it seems like wherever you look in the nation, there's something odd going on.
There is, but there's so many different things going on at the same time.
Keeps it exciting for the weather team. And the sports team is excited because hockey started up. And let's go to Nathan Shane with more on that.
Thank you, Monty and Shannon. It was a celebration that had to be put off for over a year because of last year's strikes. But on the National Hockey League's opening night, the Tampa Bay Lightning were able to hang the championship banner that they won in the 2003-2004 season. Then the defense of the Stanley Cup began. And that chance came against the Carolina Hurricanes on the 5-3 power play with the score tied. Brian Richards scores on the one-timer from Dave Andriachuk. Tampa Bay goes up 2-1. Still in the first period, Dan Boyle sneaks in and punches it in, opening up the lead by 2. But the Hurricanes try to come back shorthanded. Kevin Adams' shot is denied by the glove of goaltender Johnny Graham as the Lightning win 5-2. On to New Jersey, where the Devils took on the Pittsburgh Penguins. With 3 minutes to go in the first period, Dan McGillis takes a big slap shot that gets stopped, but Sergei Brylin cleans up the garbage to put the Devils up early. Later in the second period, Brian Janalta, he'd make the poke check here, rushes in, doing it all by himself, getting the rebound for the goal. The Devils open up a 3-0 lead. But all eyes were on the young phenom Sidney Crosby. Crosby would get the first points of his NHL career with the assist to Mark Recchi. Still, the Devils roll in this one, winning 5-1. With high school athletics back in full swing across the nation, many are looking to a simple device to protect their children during sport activities. Mouth guards are almost always mandatory among football and hockey players, but some are considering making these oral protectors a requirement in other sports as well. Sports that can involve contact with other players, such as soccer and volleyball, are driving some school districts to consider modifying their rules. But other districts won't make that change unless it becomes necessary.
There really isn't, the risk really isn't high enough at this point to make it mandatory. Besides in football and hockey, that's where we see the biggest risk and the most injuries that would occur.
According to the American Dental Association, mouth guards help prevent more than 200,000 oral injuries among athletes each year. And it's now time for the Studio One Sports Trivia question. Sticking with the NHL, today's question is, who set the record for fewest wins by a team in one season? We have 4 different teams, and we'll have the answer to that question plus more sports later on in the show. Monty and Shannon?
Thanks a lot, Nathan. The world of gambling has high stakes and high stress. We'll preview a new movie starring Al Pacino and Matthew McConaughey that explores how dangerous that world can get.
Also, the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina brought police and military officers from all over the country. One man from Minnesota took a break from working for the Department of Natural Resources to travel to New Orleans and rescue stranded citizens. We'll speak to him next.
Need to plan an entire conference? Want to provide your employees with professional training and development? The Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota provides quality programs and services for career enhancement. Whether you want to attend educator workshops or need a certificate for your profession, the Division of Continuing Education can help you achieve success. Contact the Division of Continuing Education today and let us meet your professional needs.
George Bull and his partners found value in farina, the whitest part of wheat, and created cream of wheat. Patrick Haggerty founded Texas Instruments and helped it become one of the nation's high-tech giants. Raymond Rood is responsible for the modern diving board. His diving boards have been used in every Olympic competition since 1960. Chris Moen and Marlene Schott launched their food company through the UND Entrepreneurship Program. Will yours be next?
The University of North Dakota Alumni Association and Foundation, together with thousands of alumni and friends, are making a difference at UND. Thanks to generous private support, many students have experienced the rich history, tradition, and spirit of the University of North Dakota. UND alumni and friends understand the importance of education and are proud to be part of UND's growth and success. Learn how your gift to the UND Foundation can benefit you and your university. You can make a difference.
Advance your career with a graduate business degree from the University of North Dakota. The graduate school at UND offers a variety of master's degrees that can help you stand out in the competitive business world. Our programs accommodate full-time students as well as working professionals. Our state-of-the-art facilities, dedicated faculty, and entrepreneurial training position graduates for careers as business leaders. Make your move towards a business leadership position. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
You're watching Studio One, news, weather, sports, and entertainment.
After Hurricane Katrina, parts of New Orleans began to resemble war zones. Officials put their own lives at risk trying to rescue people and stop the looting. Minnesota Department of Natural Resources officer Stuart Bensen traveled to Louisiana to help the rescue effort. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Pleased to be here.
Your normal job, being a Department of Natural Resources officer, has you going out in the field, working with people who fish and hunt and trap, those sorts of things. This was a different thing, going down to New Orleans for you a little bit. I know you've been involved in search and rescue efforts before. Why did they ask you to go down to New Orleans?
Well, the call came out actually from the governor of Louisiana, went to our governor, and then of course it went to our commissioner and our colonel. We do get involved in quite a bit of these things. We were in the flood of '97 in the greater Grand Forks area, as well as the floods up in Roseville. So we have had quite a bit of experience, and in natural disasters throughout Minnesota and adjoining states, we do go through those. We also do other federal details, and some of the more common ones are the fires, the western fires. We do go out there and provide security for those people as well.
What was your particular job going down to New Orleans?
Well, our mission changed actually several times while en route, but once we got there, our main mission was to provide search and rescue and security for workers, contractors, and other personnel to get the city back up and running again.
Okay. We have a picture of you where you're walking with your gear on, and it certainly doesn't look like your average Sunday best that you're wearing. Explain what you're wearing and what kind of gear you had to carry.
Correct. Actually, well, the gear bag, that had quite a number of equipment in there. Of course, our walkies, our cell phones, which were marginal at times, a GPS unit, so we could actually find our way back in. The city looked quite different from the water. A lot of things were different. Houses were actually washed off their foundations. Other things we had in there, of course, a lunch and lots of fluids, a medical bag, that type of thing, and then of course we had our firearms with us as well. And the hip boots were standard. Definitely wanted the hip boots on. Our armor, our bulletproof vests, and then of course a life jacket over that in case you did go into the water.
Sure. And we have another picture of a long line of vehicles going into the city, it looks like. What are we looking at?
Yes, this is actually, I'm parked right by the Superdome here, and what you see was towards the front of me, and then there was probably another 3/4 of a mile to a mile of squads behind us. This is about day 2 or 3 right in there, and we actually went in quite a bit of numbers and then dispersed into the residential, into the commercial areas. And our mission that day was door to door to see if people wanted to come out. We weren't forcing them out. We did have a number that wanted to come out, some that had been trapped in there for days, and we're actually very glad to see us, and we did get them out.
Well, and you mentioned you had hip boots as standard equipment. We saw pictures of the water, you know, everybody has, but how bad was the water? What was it like?
The water, in many respects, in comparison to Grand Forks, both had their dangers. Grand Forks, the water was very cold, extremely turbulent. You went in the water here, basically you weren't coming out. The water there was calm, it was still, but there was a number of chemicals, petroleum products, and then everything else in there. There was raw sewage coming into there. Natural gas were just like geysers all over the place. I believe it was day 2 I was there, had some splash onto me, and it burned just like fire, assuming it was acid. Still have the marks on my arm. It's
wow.
Washed it off as much as I could. We all carried, again, in part of our bags, the Germex, the water-free wash, and after about 2 hours it subsided.
Well, that's one of the dangers. Something else too, you know, you said you carried weapons. What about that? Did you come across anything where you had to draw your weapons or anything like that?
We had one day, and I believe that was day 3 that we were there, and we would go in teams of boats in specified areas. One of the Ohio boats actually came under fire, and it came from about a block from us, and we weren't able to pinpoint the individuals. And a number of times that did happen to the officers. They just basically criminals did not want law enforcement present, didn't want order restored, so which is why they were shooting at us.
Well, stories like this with your family back in Minnesota, it must have upset them.
Well, they didn't know a lot of what was taking place, and I would call them quite often. I had a cell phone from Unicell, which they allowed me to use unlimited calls, which was a good thing. Mm-hmm. And but yes, I was very selective in what information I told them.
The people that you went up to their house and tried to rescue them, were they fairly cooperative as far as wanting to come with you?
Well, the majority were very cooperative. The majority did not want to come out. For some reasons, I had one lady, a very educated person actually, a college professor at the State University, wanted to stay for another 5 days. And I asked her how she derived the 5 days, which she said she had cat food for 5 more days. And my first assumption was she was eating cat food. Yet she invited us to come into her apartment, and she had literally hundreds of gallons of water and adequate food supply, but it was a 5-day supply of cat food for her cats. And of course we offered to take her and her cats, 3 cats, out. She declined. And of course it was not a forced evacuation, so I regretfully had to leave her there. I really truly felt for her safety because
Sure.
the criminal element still was there, but she chose to stay.
I'm sure you've seen some amazing sights while down there, and we appreciate you coming on our show today and sharing a little bit of that with us today, Stuart.
Appreciate the time.
Thanks. Well, coming up, 100 years of a school's history was recently captured in a coffee table book. Later, we'll meet one of the men behind that book. Also, large exercise equipment is quite an investment. When the treadmill breaks down, there may be hope. We'll spend a day in the life of a fitness doctor.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door.
Wall Street has come to the prairie through the A. Kirk Lanterman Investment Center at the University of North Dakota. This state-of-the-art facility in the College of Business and Public Administration provides hands-on experience in the world of modern finance. Students learn how financial markets react with lightning quickness to world events. They use cutting-edge technology and real-time data from more than 200 financial markets around the world. The Lanterman Investment Center provides the tools to make a career out of an education.
There are many things to be found at the University of North Dakota School of Law. You will find a place with small class settings, an affordable place that offers student interaction with both the state and federal court systems. You will find a school that has averaged over 90% placement for its graduates the past 5 years. But most importantly, you will find the skills and experience you'll need throughout your legal career. Find your future at the University of North Dakota School of Law.
Explore the educational opportunities available through the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota. With just one phone call or a click of the mouse, you'll find high-quality programs designed for today's adults. We have a large selection of continuing education courses that are available at a time and place that's convenient for you. Discover a world of learning through the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota.
Millions of dollars are exchanged each year through sports betting. The movie Two for the Money looks into the sports gambling world at its highest level. Matthew McConaughey stars as a former athlete who gets on a roll of picking winners. Al Pacino plays as a betting consultant who hires him as a top advisor. McConaughey's character decides to quit the business when their luck starts to fade. His boss will do almost anything to keep him on the team. Pacino says his character is dysfunctional and stubborn.
He's a great salesman. He used to be able to pick winners all the time in terms of sports. He was real good at that, but he's lost his touch. But what was remained is the selling aspect. He's a great salesman.
The movie is based on a true story about a former UNLV basketball player. The director made the change to football simply because it is a larger industry. Two for the Money opens in theaters on October 7th. Now it's time to look at the events happening in your area. Doctors often encourage their patients to practice a healthy lifestyle. Today we'll spend a day in the life of a doctor whose work is to ensure people can exercise as much as they want.
We all know what it takes to maintain a healthy body, exercise, and plenty of it. But what do we do when our exercise equipment is out of shape? This is Mike Garcia, better known to his clients as the fitness doc.
At first it was a joke, you know, oh yeah, you're the fitness doctor, you know, because I pretty much work on anything, and then ended up it clicked to our mind as fitness doc. Why not use it as our business?
When it comes to upkeep of equipment, the fitness doc's recommendations mirror those of his medical counterparts.
I mean, if you keep it up, maintenance-wise, you keep it up, there's not going to be any errors on it.
While Mike has his own exercise plan,
Pretty much I get my exercise at work.
his job has given him mental challenges as well.
If you could fix a treadmill, you could pretty much fix anything.
Mike says there is one thing that is a constant threat.
Dust creates friction, so you don't want any dust or anything on these belts.
You'd be surprised at how much dust can accumulate between cleanings.
That's 1 month's worth of dust right there.
No matter how big the dust bunnies may get, there is always the hazard of larger critters.
And I found a mouse inside it. It was dead. It got fried on the control board, so that's mainly my worst one I've ever seen. So.
Whether the doctor is treating clogged arteries, a malfunctioning nervous system, or clearing out a furry parasite, he will do his best to heal any ailment.
Well, sometimes you run into some problems, that are kind of headache, but you just got to deal with it and fix it.
Mike promises to respond to his calls and work hard, so you can too. With photographer Patrick Wynn, I'm Amanda Nelson, reporting for Studio One.
Mike says he tries to help clients with their equipment within 24 hours of their call. His work brings him to patients within a 200-mile radius. Coming up, supporters say American Indian nicknames allow schools to honor Native Americans, but critics say they are disrespectful. We'll hear from both sides of the debate. That story plus news, sports, and weather in the next half hour of Studio One.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND has a long history of preparing students for successful careers. Through small classes and faculty involvement, students have unique opportunities to gain hands-on experience. Here, students launch a weather balloon to test a remote imaging device destined for Earth orbit. Students can also become involved in wind energy and fuel cell projects, design, build, and race a Formula One car, or even develop a camera that will generate agricultural images from the International Space Station. Find out for yourself how you can get involved at UND School of Engineering and Mines.
Do you need a flexible way to earn your degree? The University of North Dakota's Degrees After Hours program is designed to work around your full-time schedule. Whether you've got a family, a full-time job, or both, the Degrees After Hours program offers you flexible alternatives. You can earn a degree or take courses online through video conferencing and in the evenings or on weekends. UND's Degrees After Hours program fits your needs, your schedule, and your goals. Contact UND today.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Welcome back to Studio One.
Thanks for joining us today. Well, President Bush has given his support to NASA to go back to the moon. They haven't been there since the 70s.
It's been a while. I even read that they're looking for raw materials that might be able to be used for rocket fuel, among other things.
So scientific things going on there. That's a lot of money to go back to the moon, and we wanted to find out what people thought about the billions of dollars being spent on space travel, even though there's other things going on in the world that need monetary attention as well. Also coming up in the next 30 minutes on Studio One, many states are counting on higher taxes on tobacco products to bring in much needed revenue. We'll tell you why that plan could be unsuccessful.
Also, over the years, many schools have decided to change their American Indian nicknames. A recent ruling by the NCAA is forcing universities who still use those types of nicknames to reconsider.
And over the past century, the University of North Dakota's School of Medicine weathered both the Great Depression and political storms. Coming up, we'll meet a man that was part of the school's long history and find out what he's doing to share that story. But first, here's today's news with Mariah Torning.
Thank you, Monty and Shannon. More than 65 countries are meeting today to plan a defense against the spread of the avian bird flu. These countries are meeting at the State Department to prepare for the possibility of a larger epidemic. Despite the obvious threat, federal health officials say many countries are unprepared for the spread of the flu, even though there is a vaccine. Last week, the Senate passed legislation that would allow the U.S. to spend $3 billion on the anti-flu drug. Most of those killed have been poultry workers because the virus is most often spread by birds. Millions of birds in Asia and Europe have been either killed by the flu or slaughtered to prevent it. A Toronto nursing home has been host to a mysterious flu that has killed 16 and infected 72. 3 different labs in Canada are attempting to identify the virus, which surfaced a week and a half ago. Health experts say this is an example of a routine illness killing those with weak immune systems. The virus is being contained, and most of those affected are getting better. 11 states currently ban teens from using their cell phones while driving. The National Transportation Safety Board is now pressing to stretch the ban across the nation. Automobile accidents are the leading cause of death among teenagers. Teens also account for 14% of driving accidents. With statistics like these, the National Transportation Safety Board is recommending that all states impose a ban to prevent teens from using their phones while operating a vehicle. One driving instructor says that automobile accidents can't be blamed solely on cell phones.
I'm not sure that the actual physical operation of the phone is so much a distraction as the mind is not concentrating on the driving task.
Though Holton agrees with the teen ban, he is against prohibiting all drivers from using cell phones on the road. This year, the flu could affect more than just humans and birds. Veterinary researchers say a highly contagious canine flu is spreading at kennels and dog tracks around the country. The flu is found primarily where dogs are housed together. Researchers say because dogs have no natural immunity to the virus, that about 80% of dogs infected could develop symptoms. A few dogs have died from the virus, but in most cases it's not fatal. There is currently no vaccine for the flu. Experts say there have been no known cases of the canine flu infecting humans. Across the nation, states have been increasing taxes on tobacco, hoping to help discourage smoking while raising the needed revenue for the state. But a recent study found that these taxes can be ineffective, as smokers find cheaper ways to get their tobacco.
Tobacco taxes vary greatly from state to state. Minnesota is one state that has recently added 75 cents onto its already 48 cents per pack. The price hike is pushing many Minnesotan smokers living near the North Dakota border to cross state lines to buy their tobacco.
More people come in for tobacco, and then they say they're from like East Grand Forks.
At this convenience store in Grand Forks, North Dakota, tobacco sales have risen by about 20 to 25%.
We've increased our volume in buying for regular cigarettes quite a bit because of the sale for that.
While smokers from Minnesota are stocking up on cartons during trips to North Dakota, Minnesota retailers are struggling to sell tobacco.
We will sell carton like once every 2 weeks, maybe, if we're lucky.
And a recent study says that means less money for states like Minnesota. An economist from George Mason University says that when a state raises its cigarette taxes significantly higher than surrounding states, they don't raise as much money as expected. According to the research, when the taxes go up, cigarette sales go down. While the tax increases may be hurting retailers, some hope there are other benefits.
It's kind of a preventive method also for underage smokers or people who are of legal age that want to start smoking to say, hey, this costs a lot more money for me to do than I want to spend.
Now Minnesota and other states are hoping enough people continue to buy tobacco so they can balance their budgets. This is Gina Kalemi reporting for Studio One News.
It is estimated that states lose more than $1 billion in tax revenue each year from internet sales and from smokers crossing state borders to buy tobacco. And that's the news for now. Monty and Shannon?
Thanks, Mariah. Well, North Dakota certainly got socked with some early winter weather.
We did, a little bit of white stuff falling out of the sky. Absolutely. It's quite chilly out there, too. I guess we should go over to Matt Bensen and find out if we can expect to continue the cold streak.
Well, thanks, Monty and Shannon. We woke up this morning and had a little bit of the white stuff on the ground, but it looks like winter gave, well, summer a break and fall a break, and we just got our first snowfall of the season. So this was actually the earliest blizzard that ever hit North Dakota. It beat out the old record by 2 weeks. The storm brought winds in excess of 50 miles an hour, basically coated all the roads and trees with ice as well as road signs. which made travel very difficult on many highways, and many roads across the state of North Dakota as well as Montana were shut down because the safety was in danger of the drivers and of such. But the storm actually brought a mixture of summer and fall and winter all at once. A couple days ago it was just in the 90s and 80s, but now temperatures are in the 30-degree mark range. Well, everywhere that you see that's shaded in white, everyone in this area received a dusting up to 2 feet of snow. And then off over here where you have the blue shaded region across Minnesota and western Wisconsin, we saw areas that saw a lot of rainfall, with areas that saw anywhere from 4.5 inches upwards to 11 inches of rain. And actually the storm formed in Colorado and it moved up and it stalled out across the upper Midwest, which caused all that rainfall as well as snowfall across the area. Well, the storms that affected the upper Midwest, meteorologists relied on stationary radars to gather rain and snowfall totals across the area. But rarely do they bring the radar to the storms.
This white dome on top of the building houses a tool used by many researchers. Inside, you will find a radar instrument. This stationary radar sends and receives data. Researcher Yvette Richardson uses a different type of radar. Her radar is mobile.
If you can take the radar and put it on a truck and take the radar out to what you want to see, then you can see it at very fine resolution.
The truck is called Doppler on wheels. The mobile radar is a significant improvement over the stationary radar. Researchers can drive the instrument to the edge of storms, such as tornadoes, to get a more in-depth view.
When you add another radar that is situated such that the angle between the beams is as close to 90 degrees as you can get it, then you suddenly have both components of the wind.
The improvement in technology has given researchers a great opportunity to understand the process of a storm. Reporting for Studio One, I'm Nikki Morrell.
In 1999, during a tornado in Oklahoma, radar on wheels measured a peak wind speed of over 300 miles an hour, which was the strongest ever recorded in the world. Here's a recap of your weather IQ question. What was radar first used for? It was actually first used for military. It was developed in the 1930s by the British to protect their country from other countries. Monty and Shannon.
Thanks, Matt. It's interesting to see how much technology has really changed the way that we look at weather.
And I know anyone can go online and look at radar and see storms that are coming into the area. It's a great tool.
You can track it yourself.
Yeah. Well, someone who keeps a close eye not on the weather but sports is Nathan Shane. So let's go to him now.
Thank you, Monty and Shannon. The National Hockey League has been off the ice for over a year now. In previous strikes, fans were hard to get back. But the NHL believes that with the introduction of new rule changes, this comeback will be different.
In a preseason matchup between the Minnesota Wild and the Florida Panthers, fans in Grand Forks, North Dakota got a chance to see NHL action for the first time in 16 months, and they also had a chance to see the new rule changes in full effect. These changes were put into place to increase scoring as well as reward players for using their speed, skills, and intelligence. Referees will now be much stricter when it comes to holding and cross-checking penalties. Goaltenders will also be restricted to a smaller area. The league is hoping this will help to create more scoring opportunities. Fans are optimistic about the new rules and excited to find out how their teams will fare during the new season.
I like the goalies not being able to play the puck as much. It keeps the play in the attacking zones more than it usually does.
Goaltenders will also be faced with another new challenge, smaller pads. But there has been more concern with the padding than just the size.
Getting the new equipment at the last minute, I think that's going to be a factor. It's just breaking it in and getting it going before the beginning of the season.
Another major change is the elimination of tie games. Instead of ending the game after only one overtime, teams will now play a 5-minute overtime. If neither team scores, a shootout will then take place. This change is pleasing to many fans, but may leave others uncertain.
I didn't like it because I felt that a team that plays hard and plays hard to get a tie and then lose in a shootout, I don't know, I'm not convinced that it's the right stuff.
It may take time for everyone to get used to the changes, but the NHL hopes that they will soon be a big hit. Reporting for Studio One Sports, this is Darren Lean.
To open up the game, the NHL also widened the offensive zones by 4 feet and brought back the rule that lets players tag up to avoid an offsides penalty. And now the answer to this week's Studio One Sports Trivia question. And once again with the NHL, who set the record for the fewest wins by a team in one season? The answer to that is the Washington Capitals, who only won 8 games in their first season, and that was the 1973-74 season. And that's the sports for now. Monty and Shannon?
Thanks a lot, Nathan. Jazz music is associated with improvised solos and free-spirited melodies. We'll see how the formality of the military blends with the looseness of jazz.
Also, universities with American Indian nicknames are now facing pressure from the NCAA to change their names. We'll tell you how one school is reacting to the controversy.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I'm a really good people person.
I really love working with people.
I'm very, very motivated.
I'm a great people person.
I am really motivated.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
Did I mention I'm great with people?
The University of North Dakota College of Business and Public Administration offers real degrees for real people. Our nationally recognized faculty can help you earn a master's degree in business through evening classes.
Taking these evening classes were very convenient for me, and that's how I was able to complete the program.
We offer degrees for people who work, raise families, and lead busy lives. The UND College of Business and Public Administration, real degrees for real people.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND offers students exceptional learning opportunities. Undergraduates are helping faculty design and build unmanned aerial vehicles to test remote imaging devices. They're also converting wind energy into hydrogen. Geological science students are contributing to environmental research. Extracurricular activities include designing, building, and racing a fuel cell car. Make the most of your college experience at UND's School of Engineering and Mines.
Let the University of North Dakota become your partner by providing your business with services to enhance your workforce. The UND Office of Workforce Development has extensive experience conducting employee satisfaction research, strategic planning, focus groups, and grant development. Call us for further information. Workforce Development, a service of the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota.
You're watching Studio One, twice named the best college television show in the nation by the National Association of College Broadcasters.
Strict behavior and discipline are traits which are rarely associated with jazz music, but for a certain Midwestern band, these qualities prove to be quite helpful.
The United States Air Force is known to be a proud and tough division of the military. Jazz, on the other hand, is usually loose and fun, and on the surface would not seem to mesh with the ideals of the Air Force. The United States Air Force Heartland of America band would disagree, however, saying these traits go hand in hand to create superb jazz music.
One of the phrases you'll often hear in the military is the ability to improvise, adapt, adjust, and overcome. And so those two things, as you can see, mix very well.
The Notables, based out of Omaha, Nebraska, perform a variety of classic and modern jazz. They are one of several bands stationed around different regions of the U.S. Their goal is to promote jazz music while still keeping a tight budget.
There's no sense for an Air Force band in Florida traveling up to North Dakota to play a concert.
The Notables generally play in front of sold-out audiences.
The neatest thing I noticed was a nice combination of the community, the Air Force Base, and a little bit of university all getting together in one place.
The band says they enjoy their time on stage, but they say there is a reason behind their music.
The purpose of military bands, and specifically in the Air Force, is our job is to inspire the hearts and minds of the American public for the United States Air Force.
With all that our nation has had to face over the past month, it's nice to see our country's finest can still have some fun and carry a jazzy tune. With photographer Amanda Nelson, I'm Nick Johnson reporting for Studio One.
The Heartland of America band has been performing for more than 60 years. They've appeared on stage with celebrities such as Bob Hope, Lee Greenwood, and the Minnesota Vikings. 1972 was the last time a human was on the moon, President Bush wants to go back by 2020. Now, NASA intends to use $100 billion to get us there. We wanted your thoughts on America's decision to invest money in space while there are still ongoing needs like funding the Iraq War and hurricane recovery.
That's a hard question to ask with everything that's going on right now. Maybe our focus should be on them and try it later.
We want to be first to go back to the moon, or to go back to the moon so we can be first to go to Mars. Make the United States look good.
I do believe in the advancement of science, but I also don't think that our government is necessarily spending all of its money wisely.
You hear about the war in Iraq, and you hear how they don't have enough supplies that they need over there, the troops and everything. So I think the money could be best spent elsewhere right now.
Sure, it's a good idea. Explore new galaxies and stuff like that. Maybe there's some life out there. Who knows? Make sure we're not the only ones out here.
Is there any hurricanes or floods up there?
The NCAA recently took action against 18 member schools who use American Indian nicknames. At one of these schools, the fight over their name continues to be a hot topic.
At the University of North Dakota, pride and tradition run deep. The school has had successful athletic programs. The hockey and football teams have challenged for the national title in recent years, but the school's nickname is facing a challenge of its own. UND's teams have gone by the name Fighting Sioux since 1930. For some, the nickname is a way to honor the Sioux people.
We feel extremely proud of not only the nickname, Fighting Sioux, but the logo that we have that goes along with it.
Recently, the NCAA has led a crusade against 18 schools with American Indian nicknames. The ruling states the schools with Native American nicknames will no longer be able to use those names or logos in postseason play. The school is in the process of appealing that decision.
I think the statements that they've made send a clear message that those names definitely probably should be changed.
Those opposed to the use of the nicknames feel schools with American Indian nicknames need to be brought up to date.
The thing of it is, you don't see names like the Fighting Africans. You don't really see that in any other race. We're in the 21st century. Goodness sakes, let's change with the times.
For many students, the nickname is degrading.
It has just been turned into more of an entertainment for the majority.
But others say getting rid of the nickname would only be a step in the wrong direction.
But I think by not having the nickname, we also would miss an even greater opportunity to take the word out about not only the Sioux, but the entire Native American community.
Both sides see the need for communication on the part of the university and the American Indian community.
This definitely is about American Indians, and so I think it's really time that the president enter into those discussions, I think in a very legitimate and serious way in terms of getting their input, their guidance and direction as it relates to this topic.
So there has to be a forum in which we can have open and frank discussions on a regular and recurring basis.
For now, the topic is unresolved. Those in support of the nickname say they want to maintain the tradition of honoring the Sioux with the name, while many American Indians say they wish the tradition of dishonor would go away. Reporting for Studio One, I'm Nathan Shane.
3 of the schools that were on the NCAA's list have had successful appeals with the organization. UND will continue their appeal process. Half of all the doctors in the state of North Dakota graduated from the 100-year-old University of North Dakota Medical School. We'll meet one man that once led the school and is now working to tell the school's stories.
the College of Business and Public Administration at the University of North Dakota is proud to announce the Page Family Marketing Center. A gift from alumni Greg and Cindy Page, this center promises real-world experiences as students begin careers in marketing. The center includes a specially designed conference room for focus group research. An adjacent lab offers real-time access to software and data for marketing decisions. The Page Family Marketing Center, your next step in marketing.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door. No matter what your schedule, no matter when you work, no matter what job you have now, this is your opportunity to accomplish your goals. Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota can work around your busy schedule. Bachelor and master's degrees are earned through convenient, flexible, and high-quality classes. Complete degrees are available online through correspondence study and on weekends and evenings. Earn a degree on your terms with Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota.
100 years ago, the University of North Dakota School of Medicine opened its doors on the Northern Plains. Today, the school celebrates its successes. Author and former UND professor John Vennes is here to talk about his latest book, North Dakota, Heal Thyself. Thanks for coming on the show, Dr. Vennes.
Well, thank you.
You have been working with the School of Medicine for quite some time now. What is your role with the School of Medicine?
Well, right now I'm retired. I retired about 13 years ago, and I was on the faculty for 40 years.
Excellent. So you've been with the school for quite a while. Now, recently you had a book called North Dakota, Heal Thyself that came out. What is that book about?
Well, the book is about the successful 100 years of the medical school. Hopefully it displays some of the students who have graduated from the school in some of the sidebars. It displays some of the great professors the medical school has had and deans. And hopefully it tells a good story that the citizens of North Dakota will like about the medical school.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of different things that are accompanied in the book. Where did the idea for the book originally develop?
Well, ideas are wherever you find them, and this one was found over a cup of coffee with the dean, the current dean, David Wilson. After my retirement, I became acquainted with him, and I even take him wild turkey hunting in the fall. So that's where the idea had its genesis.
Excellent. Well, 100 years is a long time to try to track all that information. How did you go about researching?
Well, initially I had read Tom Brokaw's book, The Greatest Generation, and I started thinking about the fact that we had some great generations in the med school. So my first work was to interview about 90 individuals who were either our graduates or who were associated some way with the medical school. And then the other author of the book is Patrick McGuire, who's a journalist, and then between this, he would take that information and some of the other things I had and begin to put it all together.
Now, in this journey, as you were researching many, many years back, how did you put that all together? How did, what was the, testimony, or how far back did those testimonials go?
Oh, the testimonials go back to the early 30s. And I interviewed, for example, in Arizona, a graduate who was 99 years old, and I threatened to come back when he was 100, and unfortunately he didn't make it, but he had some great stories, and particularly about professors like Harley French, who was dean for 36 years, Art Psyche, who was a professor in pathology for many years. So it was people like that I got the information from.
Now, there must have been a lot of changes that the school underwent over the time. Is there one change in particular that stands out as most significant?
Well, one that stands out for me, but maybe change means, I suppose, something occurring that's notable. When the medical school was formed in 1905, that was a change for the state. It had a medical school. But for me, the greatest change was in 1973 when the legislature approved a 4-year school. Prior to that, we'd been a 2-year school. And what happened was all the physicians in the state became our faculty. And consequently, from that, we've had over half of the physicians in the state are now our graduates. So the goal of the state or the school was to produce graduate physicians for the state.
Absolutely. Sounds like there were a lot of successes along the way. Did you come across any surprises as you were researching for the book?
I suppose a surprise might be one that's consistent with what just happened this past Friday, and that is how well our graduates have done. During the years when we were a 2-year school, Harvard was 5th on our list of all-time graduates. And so not a surprise, I suppose, but at least it was great to see how well our graduates have done. And they've gone all over, and now more recently, more of them in the state.
Excellent. Well, your book just came out within the last few weeks. What do you hope to convey with your book?
Well, I would hope that the citizens of North Dakota take great pride in what they've supported over the first 100 years of the medical school, and that the citizen legislators are happy with the fact that they've supported the school, and that our faculty and the staff in the medical school are particularly pleased with what has happened over those 100 years.
Excellent. And where can we find the book? Where is it going to be distributed?
Well, you can find the book in Barnes & Noble, and if people walk by the medical school, we have an alumni office in the medical school. They can purchase a book there too. And I hang around the med school in the morning, so I'd be happy to sign them.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like a great book filled with a lot of history. Unfortunately, we have to keep going, but it was great to share your story. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota. We'll be right back after this.
The UND College of Business and Public Administration is reaching out to rural America. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is working to connect North Dakota veterans with important information. North Dakota veterans can use the internet to access employment and business resources, health and benefits they deserve, housing information, and much more. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is funded in part by the North Dakota Congressional Delegation. North Dakota veterans and their families can get connected by visiting go.ndgrow.com.
Become a leader in healthcare with a graduate degree from the University of North Dakota. The Graduate School at UND offers degree programs and advanced practice certificate programs in the allied health professions and nursing. Our faculty give you the individual attention you need to help you attain your career goals. Distance programs for practicing professionals allow you to pursue graduate studies without interrupting your career. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I love working with people.
I'm a people person.
I consider myself to be highly motivated.
I'm a real self-starter.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
I can offer you much more than just good people skills.
You're hired.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
Tune in next week on Studio One. It's been 10 years since the not guilty verdict was handed down in the O.J. Simpson trial. Nicole Brown Simpson's sister, Tanya, travels the country speaking about relationship violence. We'll talk to her on our next show.
We're going to leave you now with pictures of some area artists' work that is on display at a library. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.